Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending TMWA's 2024 Water Supply Outlook. Bill Hauck, TMWA's Water Supply Supervisor, will be giving a presentation about 20 minutes long in duration. And if you could hold your questions until the very end, we've enabled the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. Also, you can raise your hand. Also, the icon is at the bottom of your screen if you wish to actually ask the question vocally, and I will allow you to speak. If you are on a phone, you can hit star 6 to ask to speak and star 9 to unmute yourself. Bill, you're all set. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sonia. Give us a second to get this presentation up. And there we are. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a nice little water supply update for Northern Nevada. But first, just a few quick facts and figures. So between our retail and wholesale customers, we serve close to 500,000 residents in the Truckee Meadows. Our peak summertime demand is about 4 times our wintertime demand of about 40 MGD, million gallons per day. Last summer in July, we did 145 million gallon day. And we have 3 sources of supply which we use to meet customer demand. We have 3 water treatment plants, 2 which take water directly from the Truckee River, our Chalk Bluff and Glendale water treatment plants. And then we have a 3rd newer plant which takes water from Whites Creek. We have more than 80 production wells, which make up about 15 to 20% of our overall supply. And with that, we also have an importation project from Fish Springs Ranch. We have a nest of 5 really large production wells out near the Honey Lake Valley, and we can pump up to 8,000 acre feet a year and bring that into the North Valleys to meet customer demand. We also have what's called aquifer storage and recovery, which is during the winter months, we take, during the low demand winter months, we take treated surface water and we inject that back down a number of our production wells to improve water quality and the health of the water table. And our 3rd source is reservoir storage upstream. Between Donner and Independence Lakes, we have 27,000 acre feet of backup storage. Plus, under the Truckee River Operating Agreement, or TROA, which allows us to store more water in federally operated reservoirs upstream, we have anywhere from 9,500 to 50,000 acre feet or more at any given time. And most people don't know, but TMWA also owns and operates 3 hydroelectric power plants along the Truckee River. And in a normal year, a good year, we generate about $3.5 million in revenue. I would call our approach an integrated one, where we consider all of our sources of supply as part of a single system to meet demand. This provides us a lot of flexibility. Any one of these multiple sources of supply can meet customer demand standalone, depending on the time of year. But managed conjunctively, we've increased system redundancy and created a drought-resilient water supply for our customers here at TMWA. And through extensive planning, the acquisition and development of multiple sources of supply over the years, and the coordinated management of these resources, we'll be able to continue to provide our customers with a secure, reliable, drought-resistant, and cost-effective supply for many decades to come, despite the extreme variability in snowpack, runoff, and upstream reservoir storage and river flows from year to year, which I'm just about to get into and show you. So the month of March was a really, really good one for our water supply. We ended up April 1st, which is the preferred measuring time for measuring the amount of snowpack or gauging the success of a winter on April 1st of every year. And you can see in this bar graph over the last 40 years, you can see the variability from year to year in terms of snowpack. This year, we ended up 114% of normal or median. Last year, and you can see that in the green bar on the far right. Last year, we ended up just about 250% to normal. So we've had 2 back-to-back above normal years. And you could see, looking at the variability just over the last 40 years, we've had dry years, we have really wet years, and we also have a series of wet and dry years. And this just illustrates the extreme variability from year to year in terms of snowpack in this region in the Sierra Nevada. This is a picture taken at our Donner Lake Dam in Tahoe, or Truckee, and on April 1st. And this is what I would consider a fairly low elevation snowpack site, about elevation 5936. And there was still quite a bit of snow up there on April 1st this year. This graph from the NRCS shows the amount of water content in the snowpack on a daily basis since the beginning of the water year. The black line is this year, 2024. And what you want to do is compare that to the green line, which is median for that day over the last 30 years. And you can see that, for most of the snowpack building season, pretty much the prime first 3 months of the snowpack year, we were behind the curve. December, January, and February, we were not quite normal and just couldn't get up on the curve. That is until February 29th. We got a really big storm came in, and it was a 3-4 day storm over the first few days of March, and really brought the water content of the snowpack right to about average for that time of year. There was 8 to 12 feet of snow in that storm, depending on where you were, and up to 10 inches of water came with that storm. So it was a really nice storm, brought us right back on track. And then at the end of March, we had 2 storms, which actually brought us above normal for that time of year. Now the blue line above and the red line below basically show the extremes as far as highs and lows for that particular day over the last 30 years. And you can see in this area graph as well that the snow water content basically across all of Nevada is in really good shape. And this was taken on Monday morning, and you can see that most basins in northern Nevada are well above average for this time of year. So with an above normal snowpack, we have what's projected to be an above normal stream flow runoff this year as well. If you look at Lake Tahoe, what's called Gates Closed Rise, GCR, in a normal year, GCR, Gates Closed Rise, would be about 1.16 feet, meaning that if you closed all 17 outlet gates at Lake Tahoe between April 1st and its peak, the lake would rise 1.16 feet. Well, this year, the most likely scenario is that the lake will rise about 1.33 feet, 115% of average year. So, and it could be less, could be more, but that's the most likely scenario. And the same scenario for the Truckee River at the California-Nevada state line, 116% of normal year. So really good runoff year. And this hydrograph illustrates daily flows at the California-Nevada state line over the last 5 years. The blue is actual, and the green is projected for the rest of the year, just showing you what flows are going to be like at the California-Nevada state line for the rest of the year. So coming into this winter with the reservoirs about as full as they could be from the tremendous snowpack year we had last year, much of that water was carried over into this year over the winter. All the reservoirs on the Truckee River system are going to fill this year. And that includes Stampede, Boca, and Prosser reservoirs, the federally owned and operated reservoirs, as well as Independence and Donner Lake, Tumwa's privately owned reservoirs, which we own and operate, and Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe will completely fill this year, as well as Lahontan Reservoir on the Carson River on the extreme right side of the screen. Lahontan Reservoir is primarily fed off the Carson system, and that's going to fill this year as well. So a really good water year, and again, all these reservoirs are going to fill, and some of them actually already had to start spilling because anticipating the water that's yet to come between now and July. This hydrograph shows the elevation of Lake Tahoe over the last 14 years. Blue is actual, and the green is projected from here on out through the end of December. And just want to show you here that Lake Tahoe will physically reach its maximum legal elevation by June. And the last time that happened was 2019. So it's been a few years since that happened. Came close last year, came within about a half a foot of filling, but had quite a deficit to overcome. The lake did rise about 6 feet though last year physically. So this year we didn't have quite the obstacle to overcome. So the lake will physically get as high as it can get this year. And there's not going to be a lot of beach at Sand Harbor this year. But what's interesting here, and again, along the lines of, looking at our snowpack, Lake Tahoe elevation goes as our snowpack goes. So again, a lot of variability here from year to year. You can see the drought of 2012 through 16, where the lake was basically draining. And then 17, 18, and 19, where the lake was full. And this is just a close-up of actual and projected lake elevations through the rest of the year. You can see the lake will get full right around the first week of June, and will probably stay completely full for 2 to 3 weeks before it starts tapering off. This bar graph shows all the reservoirs on the Truckee River system. The upper number above each bar shows the maximum capacity, storage capacity of each reservoir. And down at the bottom, there's a percentage below each name. And that's showing as of last week how full each one of those is at this point. So Tahoe, for example, is 87% full. And today it's actually a little higher. I put this together late last week, this presentation. But these reservoirs, besides providing flood protection for Reno and Sparks in the winter, they provide storage for the community. Basically, the reason, besides flood control, these reservoirs were built was to capture snowmelt runoff in average years and big years, and carry that water over from year to year so it can be released during dry years or low snowpack years to keep the river flowing. So that was the primary function of many of these reservoirs on the Truckee River system being built. Now this is a really interesting graph, and this shows daily river flows at the California-Nevada state line for the last 115 years. And you can see the extreme variability in flows in the Truckee River, over that time period. Just since I've been here, we've seen river flows of 25 cubic feet per second to over, 13,000 cubic feet per second at the California-Nevada state line. So, and these flows are driven by snowpack. So, and Lake Tahoe and river flows basically, are driven by the snowpack. And you can just see the tremendous variability from year to year. And you can see the wet cycles and the drier cycles too. So it's a really interesting graph. So the Truckee River and reservoir operations on the system are governed by what's called the Truckee River Operating Agreement, or TROA. TROA provides operational flexibility and additional storage for TMWA. It enhances our municipal drought supply. It basically allows us to store unexercised water rights in these federally owned reservoirs upstream when we don't need it. And we're able to release this water when it's necessary to meet customer demand during droughts. It also set the allocation between California and Nevada for the divvying up the waters of the Truckee River. It benefits fisheries immediately below the reservoirs, provides improved spawning flows in the lower Truckee River, that's below Derby Dam. All that water goes to Pyramid Lake, improves overall water quality of the Truckee River, improves riparian habitat, and provides enhanced recreational opportunities as more water is able to be stored upstream. In this bar graph, which shows the amount of storage that TMWA has had stored upstream over the last almost 40 years, there's two things you should notice. So in yellow is the amount of reservoir storage used, and in blue is the amount of reservoir storage at the end of the year. And you'll notice very quickly that there's not a lot of yellow in that graph. And what that means is that TMWA doesn't need to use drought storage very often. Actually, only 6 years out of the last 40 years, which is about 15% of the time, we actually need to tap into our drought reserves to meet customer demand. And you'll also notice that from about 2016 on, we've been able to build up or have in reserve quite a bit more storage than we had prior to that. This is how TMWA operates in what I would say a normal year. We like to take the bulk of our water directly from the Truckee River. Normally, surface water supplies about 80 to 85% of our overall supply to our customers. And you can see that in blue. Blue is surface water directly from the Truckee River, and a little bit from our Mount Rose water treatment plant on Whites Creek. And the brown above is groundwater production wells. These wells are typically brought on in the spring and run, fairly hard through the summer to meet peaking demands through the summer. Then they start to taper off in the fall. So this is the preferred method of operation, and this is actually a snapshot from 2023. This is a look at daily operations last year. And if you look at that compared to how we had to operate in 2015, it's a pretty stark contrast. So in 2015, that was one of the worst drought years on record. And you'll notice that the blue, the amount of water able to be diverted from the Truckee River by about mid-June really wasn't there. So when river flows in the Truckee River began to fall off in the middle of June, we had to go to plan B. We had to go to backup plan. And so at that point, we started making releases of our upstream reserves from a number of reservoirs. We went to Boca Reservoir, then we started releasing water we had in Stampede, and then Donner and Independence Lakes to create a water supply. And we also held off on pumping any groundwater until that point. So it's quite a contrast. This is how we typically operate, and it's the most cost-effective way to operate. But when there's no water in the Truckee River, we need to operate a little differently. And we don't need that drought storage very often. Don't need to tap into it very often. But when we do, it's invaluable. In a normal year, TMWA uses about 3% of the water that comes across the California-Nevada state line. And in a drier year, it's about 9%. And it's not that we're taking more water during a dry year, it's just that the pie has gotten smaller. There's less water to go around, and our demands are still about the same. So as you can imagine, with two above normal snowpack years in a row, full upstream reservoirs, good river flows, we've had quite a bit of rain lately, that we are no longer in a drought. And you'd be right. The vast majority of California and Nevada are completely drought free, as is the entire Sierra Nevada range. You will see a little bit of yellow on southeast corner of Nevada there. That's the Las Vegas area. And they get their water supply from the lower Colorado River system, completely disconnected from the Sierras. So we are completely drought free. But even though we're completely drought free, water conservation policies are always enforced here at TMWA. We have our assigned day watering, which for odd addresses, customers can water on Wednesday, Friday, Sundays, and for even addresses, they're allowed to water on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And standard water conservation hours this summer, we ask the customers don't water between noon and 6, that they avoid watering when it's windy, and that they only take the water they need to avoid landscape runoff. Responsible water use is always promoted under our ongoing water conservation initiatives. It's an essential component of our overall water management strategy. It's designed to ensure efficient use of our resources under a wide variety of conditions every year, regardless of the water supply situation. And we have policies designed to promote water resource sustainability and drought resiliency when necessary. And so to help customers exercise responsible water use, we employ a suite of demand-side management programs, which are specifically tailored around the seasonal outdoor watering habits of our customers. Our demand side management program basically controls demand by encouraging customers to modify their usage patterns. And we do this in a number of ways. We have water efficiency codes, which are rules we have here at TMWA, written rules that prohibit the wasting of water. We have a fully metered system where customers pay for the water they use. We have a tiered rate structure, which incentivizes responsible water use. We have assigned day watering, which I just showed you. And we also offer water usage reviews where we'll come out to your house and show you ways to save money on your water bill. We have an extensive public outreach campaign with TV, media, radio, bill inserts, etc. And we're also out there in the community educating in the classroom. We give presentations upon request. And last but not least, we are retrofitting all of our existing meters in the system with what are called advanced meters. And with these advanced meters, customers can monitor their water usage on a real-time basis and thus conserve water. And it helps spot leaks when they first occur, and it just makes everything more efficient. So again, last but not least, and we're about 2/3 of the way through retrofitting our entire system right now with those smart meters. And you can see the effects of TMWA's demand side management program that it's had on customer demand. And we look at that in what's called gallons per person per day water use in the green line. You can see that that's gone down considerably over the last 20 years, even though the number of people we serve has grown considerably. So it was a really great water year. And, just to recap, the Sierra Nevada snowpack building season finished on an extremely positive note after quite a slow start. And we ended the season above normal for the second year in a row. Lake Tahoe Basin snowpack was officially measured at 114% to normal on April 1st by the NRCS. An above average runoff is projected for both the Truckee and Lake Tahoe basins. All upstream reservoirs, including Tahoe, will fill completely this year. Normal river flows are likely for the next 2 to 3 years based on that fact. So we know where our water is coming from for the next 2 to 3 years because of the reservoirs and the amount of water that's in those reservoirs, regardless of what happens next winter. So this means normal water supply operations once again for us here at TMWA. The Sierra Nevada range and the vast majority of California and Nevada are currently drought free. The regional water supply outlook really couldn't be any better. And as always, we'll be looking out and encouraging responsible water use, and we'll be promoting it this summer. So with that, I will open it up to questions.
Thank you, Bill. Those of you online, if you have a question, you can either put it into the Q&A feature or raise your hand and I'll allow you to speak.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot to get the pitch in for TMWA's Smart About Water Day this weekend at the McKinley Arts and Cultural Center on 925 Riverside Drive from 10 to 2 p.m. So and this is an event where you can come and learn anything and everything you wanted to learn about where your drinking water came from and what's done to treat it and get it to a point where you feel confident in drinking it. So it's really, really a great little event, and it's kid friendly. And again, this Saturday, 10 to 2 at the McKinley Arts and Cultural Center. And this is our annual event that TMWA hosts, and it's called Smart About Water Day, and we hope to see you there.
All right, thanks, Bill. I do have a question. Can you expand on the beaches disappearing?
Yeah. So there's not going to be a whole lot of beach at Sand Harbor this year. When the lake is full, the surface area of the lake gets bigger. And so you're going to have basically the same amount of people you had up there 2 years ago and last year, and the lake's going to be about a half a foot higher than it was last year. And so, and that will make a big difference. So some people hate it, but it's great for our water supply. But that's what I meant is all your beaches at Lake Tahoe, there's not going to be a whole lot of sand. It's going to be water.
Okay, Thank you. And then another question, why can't we water between noon and 6 p.m. on our assigned days?
So not only is, between noon and 6 the hottest time of the day, it's also typically the windiest. So if you ever watch your sprinklers when it's windy out, it just goes, just goes spraying everywhere. So it's just not as efficient a time of day to water as it is in the morning or early evening hours for those reasons.
Thank you. Anybody have any other questions? Okay, 1 second. I do have another question by John K. Go ahead, John. You can unmute yourself. Let's. Can you speak, John? I gave you. Let's try this another way.
Oh, I see.
Okay, there you are. Oh, you just muted yourself, John. Hello? You're breaking up, John.
We heard him good for a few seconds and he went away.
Well, he's muted himself now, so there you go. Now try speaking, John. He's unmuted himself, but it's a bad connection, I think. Well, give him another second.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, wonderful.
John Krompatic, thank you. Is that you, Sonia?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Thank
Bill,
you for
thank
coming.
you for the report. Of course,
Yeah.
A quick question, Bill, is just your forecast, I mean, it's all rosy, and I'm so thankful to hear that. We all are, right? But what if we just have this ridiculously, like we've had this really cool, not without precipitation, but a lot of cloud cover and 50-degree days, I'm sure extend our water, right? Our storage. And to the contrary, and what if we have a bunch of 100-degree days that just completely, did they blow out your forecast? Are we solid? I mean, how does that all factor in?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, John. So I think I tried to explain it, but when Lake Tahoe is full, and Lake Tahoe is our largest reservoir in the system, our water supply goes as Lake Tahoe goes until we tap into backup storage. With a full Lake Tahoe, we've got at least 2 years of normal river flows, potentially 3, depending on how severe the drought is. So no matter what happens next year or even the following winter, we'll have normal water supplies, normal flows in the Truckee for at least 2 years, potentially 3 or more in the driest of years. So yeah, like even in recent memory, 2015 was driest year on record, and if we had 2, 3 2015s back to back, we would still have normal flows for at least the next 2 calendar years.
It's good to hear. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Thank you, John. Anybody else?
Yeah, it's a great question, John. Thank you.
Yes, I know that's a lot on a lot of people's minds if we get a 100+ degree days and multiple days in a row. But
yeah, and then with TROA, this new operating agreement, which we operate under, which went into effect the end of 2015, we've done extensive modeling and looking at, the impacts of droughts, and we've created some synthetic droughts, which were much worse than the most severe droughts on record. And we've shown that even operating through those kind of droughts back to back, we still will have more than adequate water supplies really for decades to come at current demand levels and even future demand levels. So that new operating agreement, which allows us to store surface water in upstream reservoirs and build that up and carry that over from year to year was really a game changer for this community.
Thanks, Bill. I do not have any more questions. This is being recorded, and we will share the recording with those of you, so you can review and then ask Bill questions. I'm sure you have his contact information. And with that, Bill, thank you so much for, one other question. Will the presentation be shared online? I think that can be answered with a positive. But I will have to confirm with Robert Charpentier, our communications guru and social media expert, that we can put that on social. Yes.
Sonia, this is Robert. We can post it to YouTube once the video is compiled.
Perfect. All right. So this will be
And at the
shared
end
on
of the-
YouTube.
Yeah, and at the end of the presentation, my contact information is on the last page, my email and phone numbers, if someone wants to call me and has questions.
That's right, Bill. I missed that. Okay. All right. Well, to respect everyone's time, thank you so much for attending, and Bill for presenting, and everyone's questions. And you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.